Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so delighted we're spending this time here today. We have a very inspiring show coming right up with special guest, Keith Leon S., and he's here today to share with us his new book, Walking with My Angels, A True Story. Now, Keith has been writing books, speaking, publishing other people's books, and making a difference in the lives of others for over 15 years. He's a multiple best-selling author, well-known speaker, and talented musician. He has spoken at events that included Jack Canfield, Neil Donald Walsh, John Gray, and Marianne Williamson. He's made music with Stevie Wonder, Ben Vereen, Nancy Wilson, and many more. So let's welcome to the show, Keith Leon S.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me in.
Oh, what an honor it is to have you here today to talk about your new book. It's so exciting. I understand it was just released. So congratulations. I know everyone just can't wait to get their hands on this book.
Thank you. It's been just a joy and a blessing to bring this out to the world.
Well, and gosh, I know everyone's wanting to know they're going to buy the book, Walking with My Angels, so they can get the really in-depth story. We're not going to cover everything. But why don't you share with us, what started you on this path? Because most people would say, gosh, you started connecting with angels, but how did that all start?
Well, I could hear my guardian angel's voice since I was a child. And where most people thought I had an imaginary friend, imaginary friends do not guide you in ways that keep you out of trouble and literally save your life on many occasions. I could hear his voice and always knew where he was in the room because of where the voice was coming from. So if he was up in the corner, by the ceiling, I could hear him there. If he was right over my shoulder, I could hear him there. And he literally kept me out of harm's way so many times. And because my mother was manic depressive and barely even got out of the bed, and my father was not there, he really filled in those roles as well. So he was really there to kind of mentor and guide me through times when I needed it and didn't have anybody available to me for that.
Was there at some point you realized, gosh, I have a connection that other people don't?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as soon as I started hearing that voice. And there's a story in the book about I was really, really young, and I was walking up the alley and turned a corner with my mom, and I saw this little girl playing in front of the apartment building that she lived at. And my angel told me that girl is going to be your wife in the future. And I told my mom, hey, my angel says that's going to be my wife. And she's like, oh, you're adorable. And and every time we passed that girl, I paid attention. I was seeing what she was doing. We'd walk up the alley and hear her playing in her bedroom. And all that came into play later when I met her when she was 18, 19, and actually took her back and showed her, where she lived. And she was really blown away by that. So I was being guided in so many ways, and I knew that hardly anybody else wasn't really getting this guidance that I was getting, but I kind of kept it to myself because people thought I was just making stuff up.
It must have been very difficult as a young man, a teenager growing up, hearing this and not really understanding, and maybe at some point, why you have this connection and other people don't.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd be with kids and they would be getting ready to get into mischief or ask me to do something I shouldn't do. And the voice would say, tell them you won't do it. And I was like, no, I won't do it. And because kids are kind of impressionable anyway, a lot of times they said, oh, all right. And then they changed course. And then none of us got in whatever trouble we would have got into. So it's like they were listening without knowing they were listening. They were just going, oh, okay, if he's not going to do it, we just won't do it either. So it's kind of guiding everybody without them knowing it. It's pretty neat.
Was there a point where you could just kind of shut your angels out?
Yeah, I talk about that in my book. My mother met this man when I was 8 years old, and he was the most lovely man ever. They had a quick courtship and were to be married. And my mom was finally out of bed and kind of doing well. So 3 months later, they got married. And 5 days after the wedding, he was killed. and she just went into a tailspin of depression. And she looked at me and said, I need you to be the man of the house. And I was 8 years old, and so I took that on. I just need to be the man of the house. And so I kind of stopped being a child and was looking at what does that mean and taking that role on. And as I did that, the voice kind of slowly faded and faded and faded away. So that by the time I got in high school, it was here and there, but not as present as it was when I was a child.
That's a huge responsibility to put on a child, but you hear people do that quite often.
Yeah, yeah. It's a heck of a thing. And I really, really took it on.
At one point, did you kind of decide, okay, I need to refocus what I'm doing?
That's a great question. I would say in my early 20s, I was up in Fresno, and I was kind of bartending, and that was my kind of deep, dark drug phase. And talk about not being tuned in. I was just like partying and bartending, and that is where I met a very mysterious and cool man, and got to know him, and finally was like, hey, you want to hang out after work? So he came to hang out with me after work, and all this is in the book as well. But as we got to know each other well, and him through inquiry, realizing that I didn't have a belief system anymore. I just didn't. And so he slowly but surely kind of gave me clues and eventually said, do you trust me? Yes, I do. And he said, may I see that ring? And it was the ring that my stepfather had died with that ring on, and my mom had gifted it to me. And so he took the ring, put it in his hand, and it was called a life review. And he proceeded to tell me my life from birth to when my stepfather died with that ring on. And I knew he saw that because he cringed and like shook with his eyes closed and handed the ring back to me and was like, oh, I could have went my whole life without seeing that, So he handed it back to me. And he really just got me to believe in him. And then at one point, he again said, do you trust me? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, I guess it's time for me to tell you. I said, tell me what? And he told me that he was an earthbound angel, that people call people that do good deeds for them like an earthbound angel. But a real earthbound angel is an angel that is literally in the flesh and is here to meet with certain people and do what he would do with me, is to take them from believing in nothing to believing in everything, do whatever they need to prove that they are who they are, show them miracles, whatever it takes. And then eventually he was going to reveal my purpose in life to me. And then at some point during that process, he would save my life. And when he did that, he would have to leave. So this guy tells me all this, and I'm like, okay. And that's what he did. He started off like having to prove over and over and over and over to me that he was who he said he was. And he had to do things, show me miracles, have me do things, have me do miracles, to finally, when I believed in him and everything that I could even imagine was true, if I could even think it was true, when I got to that point, that's when he took me on an out-of-body experience, where I came down to a campfire with these beings of light and avatars and people you would recognize. And they all told me like why I was here, what I was here to do on this earth. And then I came back with that knowledge, and but could only remember a little bit of it at the time. And then eventually he did save my life, and then he had to go, just like he said, so he could go help the next person. So that was the turnabout. That year and a half of my life literally took me from believing in nothing to believing in everything, and completely changed the path and course of my life.
I think a lot of people can relate to this on many different levels. We look at, maybe the drug use, being able to be connected to our angels in our team when we're younger, and then all of a sudden, we're kind of disconnected from them, and just being able to make those reconnections.
Mm-hmm.
So, why don't you share with our listeners, like, how this earthbound angel saved you from, just kind of got you to the point where you stopped using drugs?
Hmm. Um, that would kind of give away a key part, but he showed up at a point where I had barely slept in like 8 hours and 13 days. I think I had slept, and he had kind of disappeared for a long time, and then he showed up and just kind of grabbed me, took me to the bathroom, put me in front of the mirror, and said, "Look at yourself in the mirror." And I mean, I looked like death warmed over. Yeah, I really did. And he said, "You have 2 weeks to live. Live or die. It's your choice. But either way, I'm not going to stand here and watch you." And left me standing there in front of the mirror. And because he had proven over and over and over again that everything that he said came true, right? Everything for like a year and a half that he said, world events, things in my life, everything had come true. I knew that I literally had 2 weeks to live if I kept on that path. So I had some things come up in that 2 weeks, and really ultimately it took a little bit for me to make the choice. But obviously I did choose to live, and you'll find out why. But that's what it literally came to. It was me knowing time was ticking, and that I had 2 weeks left if I continued on the path that I was on. And he had taught me that anything can be changed, any prediction, anything a psychic tells you, any visions you have, anything can be changed if you take a different path. It's only if you stay on that same course that would happen. So I knew I had 2 weeks to choose another course if I indeed wanted to live.
And how powerful is that to be able to have that kind of intervention and then go through the experiences that you went through? I kind of want to go back a little bit. You talk about earthbound angels, and for some of our listeners, that might be a new topic. So when we talk about angels that are actually in the physical, what exactly does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that's a piece that I bring that I've really never heard anybody else bring. What I was explained was that these particular group of earthbound angels are, etheric angels that are in the flesh, and then they are given assignments to certain people, and they have to seek out those people. So, in other words, he came to my town, he got a job, he set himself up, he came to where I worked, he got hung out there long enough for me to get to know him, enough for me to invite him to my place, enough for me, like over time for me to trust him, enough to finally tell me why he came there. And he said that there are certain people on the earth that are here to do great things, and if they die before their predetermined expiration date, which I would have, that it has a not so great effect on the planet. And so he was assigned to me basically to save me from expiring, because it would have had a not so great effect on the earth. So that's one of the ways that they show up. When we have the thing where we're driving down the highway, and we are able to operate the car in a way that we never have, and we're just like, I would have died. That was assistance. That had to be assistance from somewhere else, right? That's guardian angel. We all have a guardian, at least one guardian angel with us, and that's their job, is to get us to our predetermined expiration date as well. But some people need even more than that, and that's when the earthbound angels come to those people in the flesh, and have to prove who they are, and then move forward from there.
So these angels, they're physical, they get jobs, they have lives, they have apartments or houses or whatever. Yeah. And their job is then to connect with certain people and help them along their path.
Correct.
So when you look back, why do you think, you kind of got a view of why the angels felt that it was important for you to be here. Was there ever a time where even when you saw that, you're like, I don't know if I believe this?
Yeah, I talked about that in the introduction. Yeah, I would go back and forth. That would be, I believe everything. And then every once in a while, I'd just be like, nah, There's that human part of me that would just jump in and go, come on, really? And try to negate everything that I saw, all the proof that was given to me. But it was for a short time, I would go, nah, I'd sit back. But then the next conversation I have would prove to be different. And that's the thing, is this, when you bring in awareness and really get focused on all the ways that we get divine guidance, right? And so I call them angels. I just want to be clear. I call them angels because that's how this guidance has shown up to me. However, other people call it, first instinct, right? They call it God, spirit, universe. They call it inner guide, and I like to say it doesn't care what you call it as long as you call it, right?
Yeah.
There's that part of us that, another way to say it is we are in physical, in the physical body. And so we have that part of us, but there's a part of us that's non-physical. And if we can believe that there is a part of us that is non-physical, that isn't in the body, but we have access to that part that's non-physical, right? And that part knows the answer to every question that we have before we even ask it. It can go out, get the answer to questions, grab that, and bring it back to us. And so what I love to do with people, and what I encourage in the book is, since we have all the answers to every question through our divine guidance, our inner guidance system, angel, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, it's really about sitting down, asking a question, and then staying in the sitting down long enough to receive the answer. And that's the piece where I think, a lot of people we're missing the boat, because there's so much noise out there, right? We have our next appointment, we have our inner dialogue chatter going on, we have family, we have friends, we have all these things going on that distract us from getting the answers all throughout our day that we need. And we need to just ask the question and then focus on receiving the answer as we go through our day, or sitting down in the silence. And all those answers are available and will drop in, will come to us when you put the focus on receiving the answer.
What if you have some people, because I can kind of almost hear this, like a question maybe some of our listeners would have is like, well, I ask the question, I sit there, and then nothing happens. Is it that they're not waiting long enough? They're not open to receiving? What do you think that would be because?
Yeah, I wrote a book called Who Do You Think You Are? Discover the Purpose of Your Life. And the first book I wrote was complete failure. And the second book that I did with this process, I would ask a question and then I would sit until I received the answer. Well, one time I sat for 2 days, 2 straight days. And the only time that I got up was to go to the restroom and to eat. And if not, I was sitting with that one question. And I literally waited 2 days. But when I got the answer, it was a huge, huge revelation. It was a process that I couldn't have accessed in my brain in any way, because I didn't even know this information. But I took what I had downloaded and used it. And then that's how I got, 68 incredibly famous people to say yes to being in the book. It was a way to ask that I now call right asking, because I was kind of the king of wrong asking. I got told no by the greatest people in the world before I downloaded this process. So yes, stay in that one question until you get the answer. So if you have the time to sit and wait until you get it, you can do like I did. That's fantastic. If not, stay in that one question even as you go about your day. You're in a car by yourself instead of the radio. Ask the question. You're through the day. If you're sitting in front of a computer, just keep asking the question, because when you're in that space between 2 breaths, and sometimes even when you start not thinking about it too much and get out of your head and go somewhere else, but you're in the question, that's where it'll drop in. So either you bring focus and awareness and it comes, that might be you, or you might be the person that asks, and then as soon as you go out and you don't think it, right? You're not thinking it, you're just being, then it can drop in that way as well. But just stay with that one question until you get the answer, and you will receive it.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with author Keith Leoness in regards to his new book, Walking with My Angels, A True Story. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special, when you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
There are nearly 2 million Americans living with amputation. Many live right here in San Antonio. Becoming an amputee can be scary, frustrating, isolating, but there's no reason to feel alone. The San Antonio Amputee Foundation is here to help support you and guide you toward resources such as home and car modifications and even prosthetic limbs. For more information or to make a donation, visit saamputee.org. We'll help you live a full, active life, one step at a time. San Antonio Amputee Foundation, healing limbs, hearts, and souls.
If not me, then who? This ethos is driving the Travis Manion Foundation to empower veterans and families of fallen heroes to develop character in future generations. In 2007, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Manion was killed in Iraq while saving his wounded teammates. Travis's legacy lives on in the 5 words he spoke before leaving for his final deployment. If not me, then who? Guided by this mantra, veterans continue their service, developing strong relationships in the community, and thrive in their post-military lives. Visit TravisManion.org and ensure the character of our nation's heroes lives on in the next generation. If not me, then who?
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest Keith Leoness, and he's here to share with us his new book, Walking with My Angels, A True Story. Now, at one part, Keith, in your book, you talk about your angel John, who really helped you, and you guys were so deeply connected, and he told you at one point that you were going to have to let him go. Was that really hard?
Yeah, that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Without giving it, the really cool ending of the book away, he did show up and kind of tell me what would be happening after, and that it was time, and that was really, really tough to let him go because we had become so close. I mean, closer than anyone, any family member, anybody. He literally took me to do all the things that my father didn't take me to do because I didn't have one. He was mom, he was brother, he was sister, he was angel, he was, everything. And so to just say, okay, go help the next one and let him go, that was truly the toughest thing that I ever had to do. Until at what point later, I realized that he's not gone, that I can go within and access him anytime. It was just gone in the flesh.
I think for a lot of people, they would have a tough time discerning that until they can get into that really quiet space that, your earth angel is with you all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
What were some of the ways that John impacted your life?
Well, he's the one that taught me not to fear. He's the one that taught me that every answer that I need is right inside of me, and I only need to sit long enough to access the answer. He facilitated the process where I literally got to see like why I'm here on the planet and what I'm here to do. And that was over 30 years ago. And this book was, the culmination of everything that I had to do. Was ended with this project, because that's where it all starts. So everything building up to this book was so that when it came out, that the world would hear about it. So thousands of authors that have helped write their book, and hundreds that we published, and all the books I published, and all the joint venture partners, all the social media, all of the, everything was so that when this book came out, that the world heard about it. Because the angels told me that every person that holds this book in their hands will be raised to their next level of vibration. And I thought that was an interesting choice of words. It didn't say read the book, it said hold the book in their hands. I thought, wow, well, they just have to hold it, and they'll be raised to their next level of vibration. So, and I was told that if somebody is really shut down and their heart's closed, and they get the book, then their heart will open. If their heart's open some, it'll open more. If they're already, meditating and super, like kind of purple white energy anyway, then I can't wait to hear what happens for them if they go to their next level. So it's about raising the vibration of the planet ultimately. And the more that I'm able to get this message out, connect with people, and get the book out, the more I can see that manifest in front of my eyes, and hear the way that it's supporting people as they come and share with me.
What are some of the stories that you hear from people that the experiences that they've had from not just reading the book, you're talking about holding it and raising their vibration. What is that like?
Wow, it's amazing. There's a woman that is my shaman Mary, and I talk about her in the book, and she just got her copy and read it the other day, and she called, and she was crying when she called, and she said, this is the most incredible book I ever read in a long time. I think that's what she said, 7 longs, long time. And it's going to help so many people. And she was just in tears. And I just thought that was pretty amazing, because the work that she does is incredible. And she's read a lot of things, heard a lot of things, seen a lot of things, as you'll read the things that she's done are really out of this world. And so that was great feedback from her. And another thing that I was gifted with is that my voice, whether I'm singing, because I'm a musician and I sing as well. So whether I'm singing or speaking, they coming out of that, they gave me a gift where my voice heals. So that's what I've heard many times over and over again. Where I'll get up in front of a stage, I'll speak or I'll sing, and people will come up and tell me of a healing they had. So if I sing 2 songs and a grown man comes up, I haven't cried since I was 8, and I was bawling through that song, and here's the transformation I had. Some people, I was feeling this pain before the song, but after you sang it was gone. I mean, I've heard just everything you can imagine. I've heard through speaking, singing, and then that's why it's going to be fun with this book, to hear all the ways that it's touching people's lives and they're having transformation, but also the energetic lift. They'll put words on that. Right? If they haven't heard this interview or any other interview, and the friend gives them the book, that's probably the person that will come to me to share with me the story about how they had some kind of raising vibration. They'll put their own words on it, and those are fun to hear when people don't know that's going to happen, but then they share it. It's a pretty amazing life.
Well, and I would love for you to share with our listeners about, some of the musical events that you've partaked in, because I know you've worked with some really top people.
Yeah. Well, my mentor was Carl Anderson, and he was Judas in the movie Jesus Christ Superstar, and pretty much every production until he passed away. A lot of hits in the 80s, Friends and Lovers, and with Gloria Loring he sang, and a bunch of jazz hits. And one of the things is when he passed away, we had a huge benefit concert to raise money for his family, and everybody showed up to that. And so, I mean, I got to sing with Stevie Wonder at that event. Also, I'm a member of Agape, Reverend Michael Beckwith's Agape Spiritual Center, and for many years. And I was a soloist there and in the choir and in a men's singing group. And just being around there, I mean, I got to sing with Ben Vereen and many other legends, got to sing at the Greek Theater in California, which is just, always wanted to sing at that theater. And just so many kind of legendary people and artists. Keb Mo, I got to make music with Keb Mo. Him and his wife are actually together because of the first book that my wife and I wrote. His now wife did the 7 steps in our 7 Steps to Successful Relationships book and actually manifested him out of thin air. And now they're married and have a child and been together for a long time. And so, yeah, it's just as far as music goes, I have been aligned with and blessed to perform with just legendary musicians and even those that you wouldn't know that are just top shelf piano players, singers, wonderful musicians.
Well, that's just absolutely phenomenal. And to have that gift to be able to heal people with your voice, I mean, you must love hearing the stories that come, after each of these different events that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially let's see, Walking with Your Angels CD is just releasing now. That's with my same partner as the CD before, which is our band name was Soul Play, and the CD was opening, and I was writing with the incomparable Eric Peterson, and he is one of the most amazing musicians I've ever met. But not only that, he's a tenor. He plays every instrument, and between he and I, we play everything. And he's also just an incredible producer. So being able to work with him and make music, and this is the second CD I've got to do with him, is just been a blessing, because I just can't imagine working with anybody that's more tapped in and able to really hear the vision, like I have a music vision and I can state it, and then he can just do it. He just he plays it, he makes it sound like that. He can bring in any instrument through his keyboard. I can have strings, I can have a choir of angels, it doesn't matter what it is, he's going to bring it. And man, the level of his excellence is godsend to me for sure.
That's just phenomenal to have that level of giftedness working with you. And I understand, tomorrow is Saturday, the 24th. You actually have a couple events coming up, and as part of your book tour.
Yeah, sure do. In New York on the 24th, I have got an event, and that'd be great.
We'll have more information that people can go and look at about that. But what's so great is that you're going to be actually talking about Walking with the Angels, and that's going to be at the Mount St. Mary Desmond College, where they can go ahead. I know you're having a suggested donation, so you won't turn anybody away.
Correct. Yeah. And that's a Walking with Your Angels event.
Yes, so Walking with Your Angel.
Yeah. So the book, that was my life story. That's about me, but all the events and everything else is Walking with Your Angels, so that we can really get together and talk about and create the ways that you can tap into yours as well.
So what are some of the things that people learn when they attend this event?
Well, this is what is so cool about these events. I, for years, have been this publisher, right? I'm the book guy. And for all of those events, I always had PowerPoints and a plan. You create this talk, and you do this talk all over the country, and you change it once a year, but it's everything is planned. And the beautiful part about this event is what I got is I'm going to have all the tools, right? I've got programs, I have processes, I have music, I have everything that I need. And rather than bringing my plan to the room, my pure intention is to come to the room and feel into what the room needs and get feedback from the people there. What do they want to receive? What do you want to work on? What would you like to leave with? And that's what we'll be working on. And course, I'll have everything I need at my fingertips to make that happen. But what I don't want to do is get into bringing in my little plan, right? I use the word little because, my ego into that, thinking that I know what you need. So it's going to be incredible in walking straight in what I teach. And that is knowing that what is to be what's to be done, right? What's to be revealed will be revealed there in the moment. And so it's an incredible thing that I'm stepping into. That years ago that would have just scared me. I gotta tell you, years ago, Marianne, no plan would be like, "Are you kidding me?" I need to know every word. I need to know, right? That's where I was at. And I have never felt more confident in the plan of no plan with the Walking with Your Angels events. And along the tour, it's going to be incredible because I'm shooting a documentary film as well while I'm on tour. And there are going to be people that will be showing up to the events. Some of my mentors who I'll be featuring in the film will be kind of popping into the events. So like a Bob Proctor, Joe Vitale, John DeMartini, Robert Clancy. These people will just be popping in to the event so that we can get the footage. Sabria's guests along the way. So that's pretty exciting as well. You never know.
Yeah, it sounds like that'll be very exciting. And when you're in the middle of these events and, it flows like it's supposed to, do you find that you're actually being led by spirit?
Yes, absolutely. Spirit within me and spirit in the room. And the spirit as the people in the room as well. Because when you take Q&A and people stand up and ask a question, and you say, "Oh, okay, so how many of you in this room also experience that?" Right? And you see 9 out of 10 hands go up. Maybe that's something we can dive into. Right? So it's live feedback from your universe, from God's Spirit universe as those people. It's also going to be incredibly cool to experience.
Well, it sounds like such a great event. Do you plan on doing singing at this event as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure there could ever be an event where I don't sing. Yeah, I'm sure at some point that's happening. There'll be music playing when they come in and when they come out, and there'll be a guitar right there, and then I'll have tracks as well that are my music, but the lead vocal stripped off. So like as I shared, I'll have all the tools, and then all the songs have a different subject. So that's like an example, right? So if something comes up and somebody needs healing about judgment that they had on somebody, right, about a family member, and they just want to let that go. Oh, how many of you like to work with that? Hands go up. Great. I have a process for that. Also have a song about that, right? So all of that can come in, and because we all learn in a different way. Some of us are audio, some of us are visual, some of us experiential, some all three. So if we do the work in all the different ways, then no matter which way somebody who's in attendance needed it, they receive it.
That's so powerful. My goodness. Well, and I'd love to touch on your publishing company here for a little bit, because I know you mentioned that earlier, and this is part of your life mission, your mission. Why don't you share with us what your publishing company is? Because I know you've got several different arms of it.
Yeah. So the main hub, the main company is Leon Smith Publishing. Leon Smith Publishing. We started off as Baby Pie Publishing, and we had just Baby Pie Publishing for many years. And then I had a really professional branding expert say, "How's that going?" And I said, "Really good." And he said, "Really? Like, really? Because you had me right till you said Baby Pie." So he's the one that suggested Leon Smith, because it sounds more for business professionals, like a better name. So we did that. And then we also have You Speak It Publishing. And that is because of a process that we created called the You Speak It book process. So if you want to have a book, but you're busy, so you're an entrepreneur, you're a doctor, you're a functional medical practitioner, you're coach, whatever you're doing, you're being of service to other people, and you just don't have time to write a book, right? We created the You Speak It book process, and all one needs to do is show up to 7 phone calls and let us guide the process. And in those 7 phone calls, we get everything we need to create a book for you.
Get out.
So
Are you kidding?
Yeah, no. And that was a complete game changer for our business, and was downloaded, by the way, from Spirit in the question of how can we be of service to the people that are the difference makers of the world that really need it, but they don't have time to write a book. And we just kept asking that question and asking and waiting, like I talked about earlier, right? We do what we teach, my wife and I, and we kept downloading these ideas and we writing them on a piece of paper. And sooner or later, we looked at that piece of paper and we were like, wow, we just reinvented the wheel. Like, if this works, this is a miracle, And so I called up a few mentors I always wanted to do a book for, and we hadn't yet, and ran it by them, and then they said, well, sign me up. I want to do that. And so we have that. And then we also have a home study course for people that do want to write a book, but it's not just a home study course, meaning teach you how to write a book. It does that, but it also has experiential work to help you with the voice in your head that says you're not good enough, that little liar voice, you can't do it. There's a process for that, and teaches you all marketing and, more importantly, what to do with the book once you've written it. And I think that's where every other publisher I know of they just stop when you have the book, and then you have a book and you don't know what to do with it. We go past that and just provide you with, here's how to take that book and use it as a launch pad. Here's how to monetize it and actually make money with it instead of just having a book. Here's how to get endorsements from well-known people, because it's not what we say about our business, it's what other people say. All of those things that people who have been around for a while know, you will know, because it's all part of the program. So we have that. And last but not least, our 4th imprint is called Beyond Belief Publishing. And I thought that my book might be the first Beyond Belief, but as soon as we started that company and that imprint, a few other books came through that were just like, oh, it'd be perfect for Beyond Belief. So mine's actually the 3rd, which is interesting. The 3rd Beyond Belief release is my book. And so no matter what type of book you have, we have an imprint that you will love and will be a match for you.
So whether someone has a cookbook or business book or self-help or spiritual book, you have a place for them.
Correct. And that's purposely, because we just wanted to be well-rounded and being able to meet each person with their energy, with an imprint that matches their energy.
So if someone's looking to learn more about, maybe getting a book published with you, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, go to leonsmithpublishing.com, leonsmithpublishing.com, and there's a contact form there. If you would just like to go straight to a call and connect with one of our team members and tell us what your idea is and see how we may be of support, you can go to, it's http:// / you can probably put this down somewhere for me, but it's meetme.so / Keith Leon S. So meet me, like meet me in the room, S is in Sam, O / Keith Leon S. And that'll take you to a calendar where you can meet with one of our team members and we can see how we may serve you.
Yeah, I've been looking through the books of the different authors that you represent, and my goodness, there's so many great books here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been amazing. The people that we attract are just cutting edge at whatever they do. They're like the top of what they do. And even down, we have novels that are just, there was a teen author, was our first novel that we published, and this teenager emerged, and her mother said, oh, my teenager's writing a book, would you give her some feedback? And gave it to me. And I read it and I was like, feedback. I would love to publish this. This is unbelievably good. Like unbelievably good.
Oh,
And
that's
she was
awesome.
just like, yeah, she was like 13 when she started writing it, and 16 when she finished it, and it's amazing. So yeah, we've had that to functional medical practitioners, to real estate people, coaches, just people from all walks of life that are just the best at what they do.
So let's toggle back to your book, Walking with My Angels. What do you want readers to take away from your book?
A lot, but I would say I would love for them to know that we all have at least one guardian angel, and that guardian angel really only has two jobs. One is to love us unconditionally. So like your mom, there's nothing you could ever do that would make your angel not love you. That's how much they love you, and they're going to be there for you. And then the second thing is to get you to your predetermined expiration date. And there's so much going on in the world now. It's not like back in the old days when you either would get in a gunfight or get run over by a covered wagon, right? It's not like that anymore. We've got so many moving parts: planes, trains, automobiles, gang fights. The list is long of how many ways we could expire before it's our time. So anytime you hear of something told me to go home a different way than I normally would, that's angels. You hear of a mom lifting her car off of her child, that's angels. Right? All of these seeming miracles that happen, that's our guardian angel stepping in to get us to be here till our expiration date. So those are the two jobs they have. And because of free will, that's their only two jobs, unless we ask for something beyond that. So if you would like support other than those two things, then you must ask your guardian angel to support you. And then once you do, and you bring a focus to that ask, right? Now you've asked, and you just kind of go about your business looking for ways that they will show up. Then they will show up for you in so many ways. And it's kind of like the old days, and I don't know, dating myself here, but if those of you who are listening are old enough to remember when a radio used to have a tuner knob, and even if you didn't ask your grandpa, we used to have to turn this knob back and forth until finally the station would tune in and we get it in the right place, and then the radio station sounded great, right? And it's kind of like that. The more you tune in to this guidance, the more you will see all the ways that you're being supported all throughout your day, the people that are showing up to support you. You'll hear that answer to that question. So you need do nothing but ask, and then focus on receiving the feedback, receiving the answer, and it'll happen for you.
That's so important, because a lot of times people feel, because they're not hearing that connection, or maybe they're new to making that connection, that there's nobody there to support them.
Right. Yeah. It's easy to feel alone, but I can assure you, you are never alone.
That's a very comforting thing. Now, if our listeners are looking to connect with you and learn more about not just this book, but the other books you've written, where could they go?
Yeah, right on the website, on the front page of the website are just pictures and pictures of books, and you click any of the book covers and it goes straight to the Amazon page that will tell you what it's about. That's one way. And so yeah, and you can Google, Keith Leon S, and there'll be tons of things that show up, ways that you can find out about what I'm doing. That's a really easy way to find what you want to know about me.
Lots of great information out there. And also, again, the different events that you have coming up. You've got your book tour. And I know that you actually have a lot of that posted on social media as well.
Yeah. And if you go to walkingwithmyangelsbook.com, that's where you can get the book. We're going to keep the bonuses up for a little bit more. We put that up for launch day, but I love to keep that going for a while in case people didn't hear right on the the launch day. But you get over $1,500 in free stuff, right? In bonuses for getting the book. If you go to walkingwithmyangelsbook.com, you can see how you can not only get the book, but come back and put in your order number into the system, and you will receive tons of bonuses.
Well, I've pre-ordered my book. I highly suggest everyone do the same. Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
You're welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Keith. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you, and of course to talk about your new book, Walking with My Angels. Again, if you'd like to connect with Keith, you can at his website, walkingwithmyangelsbook.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Moments with Marianne airs every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.